Welcome back from that. Now it's time to get to that interview that I told you about, where we'll be discussing enhancing or analyzing rather Tinubu's government's intervention, political intervention, and what youth intervention he's been doing, how that has impacted Nigerian youth. Do they even know that it exists? In the studio is someone who has been doing a lot around the youth constituency, especially in Nigeria, ensuring that youth participation is really rife. He's been going across the country to mobilize young people, not just to support this presidency, I don't know why I'm smiling already, but also to enhance youth participation. But why should youth participate in this governance or take this governance seriously? That's the conversation we'll be going to right now. And in the studio with me is Honorable Oluwatosin Francis Shoga. He's the Director General of City Boy Movement. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you for having me here today.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you here. For background, the City Boy Movement is a socio-political organization that supports and promotes renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Again, I welcome you.
Thank you very much.
So before the renewed hope agenda, you have been very instrumental when it comes to garnering support of young people and ensuring they participate in governance. What pushes you? What inspires you to do that?
Thank you very much for that question. We must first of all understand that for a country to have a better future, we must build the future of young people of that country.
Absolutely.
If you look at most developed countries across the world, the future of those countries depend on the amount of impact that the young people have on those economies.
Absolutely.
So that's why we must make sure that the future of young Nigerians are well protected and are well guided, and also they must participate in government to understand that the future belongs to the young people of this country.
Well, you know, Nigerians are very, very funny and humorous. Very often you hear them say, we've heard this, we don't hear them before. We've heard this before when you say, oh, the future of the country depends on young people. It doesn't seem like it when it comes to political participation, but that's not where we're going now. The government has rolled out several youth-targeted programs, some of which the government, especially this administration, had come out to announce. But can you highlight which ones are currently active and the impact it has had? Because some Nigerians will tell you, I have no idea what this government is doing for youth, even though the president had been very youth-centric during his campaigns.
So, I want to reemphasize that we have a president that understands that the future of Nigeria belongs to young people. If you look at his antecedents while he was governor of Lagos State, he made sure that a lot of young people were involved in his government, and we see the likes of Babatunde Fashola and others, and who even became a federal minister. And we saw the age he came into government, and we saw what he did at the national level, being a student of the Ashiwaju School of Thoughts. So, Mr. President understands that building the youth is paramount to development and the future of Nigeria. That is why he has created the Federal Ministry of Youth Development, being led by Comrade Wisdom Olawande, who understands that Nigeria's problem with young people is basically job creation. If we create job for young people, they are assured of a better tomorrow. Because most of the problems in the country has to do with young people not having anything to do, which has also made youth restiveness to increase among the communities of youth. So, as we must make sure as a community that we secure the future and a better future for young Nigerians at large.
I mean, let's get realistic. You walk around the youth constituency. What would you say the Nigerian youth needs most? Because we read papers, we see concerning reports that the youth unemployment, for instance, is hitting the roof at 40%. No country, especially one with energetic and innovative youth like ours, it's very embarrassing. So make it make sense to me, where the president is one hand telling you, you know what, I have initiatives that are targeted to youth. I remember several, top of my head would be some grants that he offered young people in businesses. I remember the one offered, nano micro businesses and all that. But what's the reception like when these initiatives and programs are rolled out? Now,
you look at those agencies that operate around these initiatives, you discover that most of the head of those parastatals are young people, and they've been doing a very hard job and a very good job to ensure that the young Nigerians are involved in this initiative. For example, look at the Federal Minister of Youth Development. We have several initiatives that are targeted towards job creation. You know, the minister is making sure that, first of all, in terms of skill up artisan initiative, we build a lot of young people in different skill sets. And we are also assured, if you look at Federal Ministry of Education too, where we have the NEL Fund, about 500,000 young Nigerians have applied and 400,000 young Nigerians have been shortlisted for these initiatives. So they have to pay back this education loan at a very, very cheap interest rate, which means that 400,000 young Nigerians have benefited from this initiative. So we also be rest assured that there are other programs, such as the NIA program, under the Federal Ministry of Youth Development.
That's the one that is some academy where you could come learn skills?
Yes.
That's the Nigerian Youth Academy.
Nigerian Youth Academy.
Right.
So we also have this Medan. That's where we have Mr. Charles Odin. He's doing a very great job.
Actually.
Yes, he's doing a very great job to ensure that a lot of small businesses are impacted in these initiatives. And is also ensuring that a lot of young businesses are trained and also brought into government for government to support. So a lot of young Nigerians have benefited from this current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's initiative, being led by young people, as I said the other time. So, but the problem that we have is bridging the gap between the government and the people. A lot of young people don't understand what the federal government is doing. And as young Nigerians, we must learn to read, to study, and also to discover what government is doing. And on the side of
the
government,
responsibility. I want to know, because you're saying the young people have to read and study just to understand what government is doing.
Yes, as a young man, you must read. You see, the secret of life is hidden in a book. If we don't read, we can't develop as a nation. So the young people has the responsibility to educate themselves by studying their books. You understand me? So,
is it necessarily studying books? I mean, we have a semi-literate country where some people do not necessarily have gone through the four walls. Are this government initiative just targeted to the educated?
No, not targeted to the educated. For example, you buy an equipment, there is a manual in that equipment.
Right.
If you don't read about that equipment, you will mismanage or misoperate that equipment. So at every level of life, at learning, everybody must learn. People can teach you if you don't know how to do it. You see old women that call their grandchildren, come and teach me how to do this thing. So we must, as young people,
make an effort.
We must make effort to know what is going on, what government is doing. That is the only way.
Honorable Shoga, you know, we had this conversation off camera the other time, where I told you, why is it that when it comes to electioneering, where you need the people's vote, you meet them in their places, you speak all types of dialects, even when you cannot speak Igbo, you find yourself trying to speak one, you meet them and you're relatable. But when it comes to beneficial interventions and programs, we blame them and want them to make an effort. If we are intentional about bridging the or mitigating this trend of 40% unemployed Nigerian youth, don't you think the government should do more in harnessing or in improving the dragnet for these young people?
So, as one of the achievements of government, we have this senior specialist as president on youth initiative.
Okay.
Yes, has created a dashboard that showcases all government initiatives. So as part of our responsibility as a support group to the government, as a support to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government, we as a City Boy movement, we are going around the country to make sure we sensitize young people on how to be involved in this initiative. So I will also ask other groups, churches, mosques, and imams to educate young people on what government is doing. They are the bridge between the people and the government. So I task imams, pastors, and other religious leaders to also educate their members on the achievement of this government or on development that this government is making towards young people.
There's certain distrust when you hear Nigerian youth and discussing what plans of government. Very often they roll their eyes to say they don't come again. Is that something you experience when you interface or rather engage with young people discussing initiatives of government, how they can benefit, what they need to do to participate?
Now, I told you the problem we have with most of this initiative is people do not look at those criteria very well before they put in for them. So when they put in for these initiatives, they discover that they are not shortlisted, not knowing that they did not meet some level of criteria that is being advertised by such agencies that are promoting those initiatives. So that is why I said that we need proper education on how to understand, on how to also read up on government programs. We have a lot of policies in this country that a lot of people don't even look at. We don't. If you see in other countries, other areas of the world, people like to study, people like to read, people like to inquire, people like to ask questions. But no, we just conclude without even inquiring on reasons why these things are being put out there.
But it's again to distrust, because when we talk about reality shows, for instance, you see young people very active. You know, if you talk about soccer, for instance, you see them very active. But when it comes to government, and this isn't just the Tinubu administration, it's something that a lot of governments have suffered, where why are we not seeing their participation? I had a conversation with a legislator the other day who said, they haven't even probed or criticized the budget. No one is saying, my representative, this isn't what I want. This isn't what, these are not projects that are dear to me. That's because no one really has taken the time. But for CSO who are trying, but that youth participation that would ensure trust, how can we achieve it? Government trust, government and especially the young people, that trust that has to be built. How do you think we can achieve it?
So what we are going to do on our own side is we promote more of government initiatives to the people.
Okay.
And we showcase it to people. And we also tell them to participate. After they participate, when they see the results, I'm telling you, they will tell other people about such initiatives. That is the model that we are taking up as a City Boy movement. We are bringing those initiatives down to the grassroots. We are going to tell the young people about them, and we also ensure that some of them are helped to participate in such programs by giving them the required knowledge and education about such programs. That's what we have taken up ourselves as a movement. And Mr. President has taken a giant step by giving 30% representation of his government to the young people.
Would you say that particularly has an impact on the working, or has it made or marred governance?
No, it's an advantage to the government.
How is that?
Because the decisions of government involves the youth, the young people now. Look at the Federal Executive Council. We have Minister of Interior, we have Minister of State Trade and Minister of State Finance, we have Minister of Digital Economy, we have Minister of Youth Development, and so on, involved in policies of government.
When we talk about inclusivity like that, is so that you could make laws and policies and interventions that are relatable to this group. Would you say, looking at this government, we've done that? This administration has succeeded in making youth-centric policies and interventions and programs? Yeah,
a lot of youth-centric policies have been done by this government. No, the involvement of a lot of young people in the decision-making, gives the young people an advantage to be part of policymakers in those decisions.
Right.
So that automatically has created involvement of young people in the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But what we need to do now as young people,
beyond the bragging rights
yes,
that we have young people in our
yes,
government.
what we need to do as young people is for us ourselves to be involved, to understand those policies that government are making, so that we can also partake in those such initiatives. People don't learn, they just complain, they just talk, they don't ask questions, they don't inquire. So as young people, we also need to inquire and update ourselves with the achievements and also the and the policies that's been driven by this government. That is how we can reduce the the complaints about government not having impact on the young people.
Now, I would go back to the how you are often received when you address young people. I am the city boy. I am from the city boy movement, you know, and you know city boy is as you are, so and it is inflation is biting hard. The purchasing power of an average Nigerian at the moment is really low. A lot of Nigerians are disillusioned, not just the youth now. How are you able to tell them to look beyond the economic challenges we are all facing, to say, you know what, there is, I don't know how you would phrase it. I didn't want to bring it out myself, but I don't know how you would phrase it. Yeah. How do you encourage these young people to say, I understand you are facing this, but this is what is, or this is what to hope for? Is there even something to hope for? So,
Mr. President said it on May 29, the day he took office. He said the fuel subsidy was gone, and gone forever.
And with that attendant suffering, and
yes,
the rest is history.
Yes. So let me take you back. For you to take a very difficult decision, there must be pain.
Absolutely.
Yes. So when there is pain, then we can find solution to those problems. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. Mr. President is repositioning the economy to favor the young Nigerians. So we have been eating up our future. Look at where we have been spending on the fuel subsidy. We have floated the foreign exchange. And those monies are channels into other sectors of the economy. For example, at the moment, yes.
Increased allocation
to governments, yes, are receiving 3 times more than what they were receiving before.
Right.
So that means development.
Was that a good, would you say that was a good move? Because some people would say there are sectors that would that are low-hanging fruit for energizing the economy. If transportation is a problem, why don't the president maybe expedite the whole CNG move that he promised? Some of us who supported the removal of fuel subsidy because we saw how it was riddled in so much corruption, thought we would have facilities down. By 2 years down the line, we were hoping that we would have road networks, or rather vehicles that are all CNG powered. We will have facilities and equipment, maybe even improve in-country fabrication of some of these facilities. But you go out there, you see that Nigerians are really suffering to move from one end to the other. And if transportation is a problem, naturally it would affect all businesses and products and services. Why have we not seen that expedited action to mitigate the transport problem Nigeria is facing?
So, Mr. President has initiated the CNG initiative to reduce costs of fueling of cars. And if you look at the program, the initiative, they have also initiated putting structures where you can conversion centers across the country. Now,
which, by the way, are not sufficient. But
yes, they are not sufficient. But these are opportunities for upcoming businesses to invest in such sectors, whereby they can create their businesses across those conversion centers. So in due time, just like remember when the GSM just came, then, phones were seen as very, very expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
then I got
Until
it at
competition
33
came.
yes, yeah, the competition came. So in the long run, there's going to be competition. And when there is competition, the prices is going to drop and life is going to balance for a lot of Nigerians. So let us be patient. You know, these initiatives have come into play. We need local investors to invest in these conversion kits across countries so that it will be available to everyone. By that time,
But
it's
is that
available to everyone.
space regulated well enough for the private sector to say, I now understand the regulation that guides this sector. I would invest and I am sure that I'll get my return on investment.
So there have been success stories.
They have?
Yes, on the CNG initiative. People have converted their cars into CNG.
Unfortunately, out of pocket.
Yes, out of pocket, but they've seen a quite large reduction in the consumption of their of petroleum products. So in the long run, as long as this is going to cost for anybody, there's going to be cost savings. So whatever is going to cut cost is at an advantage to any business.
Oh, absolutely.
So in the long run, I'm sure that the conversion centers are going to be available across countries. Also at state levels, you know, state governors are also making attempts to also initiate that same CNG initiative in state level. So let us give it a time. There is still time. In the next few years, maybe before we start the 2027 election, I'm sure petrol will have gone down.
I am really hoping we won't have to wait that long. Honorable Shoga, DG City Boy movement, if you have to advise the president, or if in retrospect, if you had to go back and say, President Tinubu, look at what we will face today, would you still have advised him to increase this allocation, do palliatives as an initiative to mitigate this economic hardship that Nigerians face? Would you advise him to do that rather than maybe let's have a mortgage plan, a pay small plan for people who like me who may not be able to afford conversion? These days is over ₦1 million. Did you know that? So would you have that conversation before we go on a break, because Nigerians are watching you?
So for a president that did not care about himself, his popularity, he cared about solving the problem of Nigerians. And
however tough.
Yes, however tough, and he took a decision and he removed the first subsidy and he said, damn it, we're going ahead. So all of us as young as Nigerians, we should understand that the problems of this country did not start with President Tinubu. Tinubu is only 2 years in office and he sacrificed his popularity for a difficult decision. So as Nigerians, we need to support Mr. President to succeed. There is no other time than this time. If their decision was not taken now, I'm telling you, Nigeria will not be where it is today. You understand me? So let us rally around young people, rally around young Nigerians. Let us make them understand that the decision of Mr. President to remove fuel subsidy and also to float the foreign exchange is to protect the future of young Nigerians.
Right.
So that in future we can have a Nigerian that is called the real giant of Africa.
This is still Joy Asonye Live, where we've been discussing youth initiatives and the impact, especially by this administration. In the studio with me is Honorable Oluwatosin Francis Shoga, the Director General of City Boy Movement. Now we are getting to the crux of City Boy Movement activities. For those following us, recently we had a conversation here on Joy Asonye Live where we talked about in spite of the awareness that happened during the past elections, only about 27% voted. Meanwhile, City Boy Movement was active. So, City Boy Movement, what are you going to do? Alignments have begun. I don't know if that's a fortunate thing when Nigerians are suffering such economic challenges. We are talking about aligning come 2027. Having learned lessons from the 2023 elections, what and how would City Boy Movement align better in engaging with young people?
So thank you very much for your question. I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity and this platform.
It's absolutely
to
my
speak
pleasure.
about our movement. Yes, before I go to answer your question, I would like to talk a little about my movement.
Absolutely.
Our movement, yes, the City Boy movement. So the City Boy movement is a youth-focused socio-political group in support of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, led by Honorable Seyi Tinubu, who is our grand patron, and myself, the Director General of the movement. So the movement is about young people. The movement is about educating young people and also making sure that young people are the leaders of tomorrow. That's what the movement is about. So at City Boy movement, we take it upon ourselves to sensitize and educate young people on the policies and programs of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu across all the 36 states. We're educating them and telling them that, look, this is a president that has taken a decision and a step to drive Nigeria to a better future. This is a president that understands that without the youth, we can't have a better country. This is a president that understands that the youth are the future of our country. So we are determined to ensure that young people are placed in the right place they ought to be. We are in our movement. We want to ensure that young people participate fully in this government, fully in the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to drive a better country for ourselves.
How has that been in ensuring that young people, I mean, how do you do it? You petition the president to ensure that, you know, young people just have to be represented. And would you attribute this 30% youth in appointment in public office positions as some of the work that you have done to ensure young people are represented?
Well,
you go ahead. You don't need to be modest. You can go ahead and
you see, Mr. President understands, I told you before that Mr. President understands that youth are the future for a better country. So immediately he came to power. He signed the bill of 30% young people involvement in government. So it's what Mr. President understands fully. So it's not about whether the City Boy movement the City Boy movement the City Boy movement is promoting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's initiatives and policies about the young people involvement in government. And Principal Movement is going around to educate young people that you can be there, you can be a leader. Don't sit back. You must be involved in governance. You must be involved in government at every local level. That is what the City Boy Movement is sensitizing young people about. Look, today we have young people in government. I told you the other time, we have Minister for Interior, we have Minister for Youth. If they had not been involved, they wouldn't have been there. So we want more young people to be involved in government.
Okay. Now, alignments have begun.
Yeah.
As we speak, engagement. It's sometimes very sad to see that politicians are not sleeping, even though we still have a couple of months before electioneering begins. So I know that the City Boy movement was very active during campaigning season. What did you learn having engaged across the nation for engaged with young people across the nation for Tinubu, and what did you learn first before we get into how are you going to implement it?
I learned that Nigerians are one. We are only divided by region, some by religion, but lessons from the last election is Nigerians are one. And if we love our country, we are going to get to the land of milk and honey, the promised land of Nigeria. So in unity, we must work together. In everything we have, we must work together to promote one Nigeria. So that is what I learned basically during the last election.
Why do I have a sense that you are trying to avoid certain that. You seem to know where I'm going with this. While I agree with you, Nigerians are one. We should stay united. We should love each other.
Yeah.
But maybe I just want you to say, how did you tackle the obedience movement, where it seems like it was a youth awakening?
Yes. If you look at Mr. President's precedent in Lagos State,
Okay.
Understand that Mr. President understands how to resolve the problems in our economy.
Okay.
If you saw what happened in Lagos State when Mr. President was governor of Lagos State, he did a lot of magic to make Lagos the largest economy in Africa. So, giving that person the opportunity to manage Nigeria with the huge resources we have, Mr. President is going to build the kind of Nigeria that we have never seen before.
2 years down the line.
Yes, it's painful.
Are you still saying that?
We have paid up the IMF loan. How many government has ever paid up loan in Nigeria? Give me one government that has paid off loan.
But we are constantly still borrowing.
No, but this man came and paid off the IMF loan within 2 years of his government.
Okay.
So you must understand that Mr. President understands the economic magic. And I assure you that with President Tinubu sitting in the helms of affairs of Nigeria, Nigeria is going to be great again. Honorable,
you are indeed a politician. You tactically refuse to answer some questions I have posed, but now let's go to the future. I'm hoping that you will tackle it head on this time. Let's go to the future. 2027 is just by the corner. Again, like I said, engagement, consultations, I don't know how else you people call it these days, are going on. How are you positioning as the City Boy movement? You have a noble cause where you say you are ensuring young people understand initiatives that benefit them. That's quite noble. But beyond that, how are you positioning to ensure that these young people vote against your principle?
I told you the other time, we are on massive sensitization and education of young people across Nigeria. And we know that with what Mr. President has done in 2 years, and with our engagement with them, more people are joining the movement every day. More people are getting aware of Mr. President's achievements in 2 years. And we will not stop. We will go around every nook and cranny of this nation and educate every young man that the president that will take Nigeria to the promised land is here. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. With his Renew Hope agenda, I assure Nigerians you can go to sleep. The pain is going to end very soon. I assure Nigerians that young people, we have a better future and we have a better chance now, and this is the time to achieve the future we have desired for a very long time.
So when you engage, because you are not going to run away from this, when you engage with these people and they tell you that, well, I mean, I probably do like the president, but we're hungry, you know, how are you able to manage that? The rest, I don't want to say restiveness that's boiling, but however, you're hearing a lot of young people suffer. Our electioneering process has been very monetized. Sometimes you want to have proper engagement with young people and they're like, what did you bring for us? You have the best intentions, you have the noble ideas, you are on and on mentioning everything you've got, but at the end of the day they're like, wait you carry come, stop to speak English.
So let me remind you, the last election, there was no money, there was no fuel, and everything worked against the electing President Bola Tinubu as president of this country. But Nigerians are aware of who is the Mr. Fix-It. Nigeria are aware of who has done it before and who is going to do it again and who is going to put Nigeria on the right step forward, which we know as young people, and which Nigerians also know now that he is the only one that can do it. So whatever the obstacles you think might come with hunger or anything, Nigerians understand the man that is fixing the economy. Nigeria understands the man that paid off his loan in just 2 years. So on that note, I believe that support for the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is galvanizing the kind of momentum that we have never seen in the history of this country. You saw the opposition party coming into APC. You saw governors coming. You saw at the National Assembly senators coming into the movement, because they understand that there is only one president that can take a difficult decision that will take Nigeria to a better future. Yes, people are angry, but they must also remember that the problems did not start today. It started a very long time ago.
Right.
A man that has just ruled for 2 years and he paid off the IMF loan in just 2 years. So in another 2 years, we are going to see a lot of impact that this man is going to create in the Nigerian economy. And I also assure you that you should join the City Boy movement as soon as possible.
It's for boys, isn't it?
No.
I'm just kidding. But let's now talk about this gale of movement, like the media has phrased it. There's a gale of movement. Does it also concern you that these individuals that are moving will no longer give a space for young people? Because when you watch the Nigerian primaries, it's like young people are really emerging in elective positions. That's another very concerning, unfortunate concept in our democracy, where young people do not seem to have a chance. Is this something you would also address with the political party as a strong Nigerian APC youth? Is it fair to say that?
Well, let me...
Is it fair to call you an APC youth?
Do we have any other winning party?
I just want to hear you.
We have only one winning party.
I want you to say it. Is it fair to call you an APC, a strong APC youth?
APC youth.
Now, with your support group, the City Boy movement, are you able to also make a case for young people to say, you know what, let's not just give nomination forms and not still give enabling environment for young people to emerge in elective positions? Are you making a case? That's basically my question.
So if you look at the last election, we had 44 young legislators that emerged at the National Assembly.
Right.
And which is, in history of Nigeria, we never had that kind of record. So if you look at my grand patron's antecedent, Mr. Tinubu, he's bent on supporting and promoting young people and also fighting for opportunities for young people. He's fighting for opportunities for young people to be involved in governance.
Okay.
So in the long run, or in a very short time, coming election, you will find more people less than 40 years old in the National Assembly.
What's giving you that confidence?
Yes, because a lot of young people are getting involved. If you look at the past Lagos State chairmanship election, we found a lot of young people that participated in that election. And you saw a lot of young people also came out to be the candidate of the party. So the party is about promoting young people to take over leadership tomorrow. Right. So I believe in the future of Nigeria that young people would create a
and not that the party is just playing lip service to the slashed nomination forms and all that. Oh, we're going to give young people, but when it comes to elections, very often we see a disparity from what they have said and what really happens.
No, I don't think there is any disparity that has ever come up on the party forms. We saw a lot of young people, women paid a very big discount on their form. So there's also promotion of women to be in politics.
And yet we recorded the worst.
Yes, because what I said
so
before, when we started this program,
the nomination,
I said people should get involved in government. You understand? You cannot, at the end of the day, at the last day, now get involved and think you are going to win or think you are going to be the most popular candidate. You understand? So the involvement, the participation in political movement is very important for the future of young people in this country.
Thank you so much for all of that. But in the final analysis, young people are listening to you right now and wondering, okay, he has a point. What would you cap it up with? What would your parting words to young people listening to you and also trying to align themselves? Maybe some of them even have ambition to run. What would your final words be?
They should get involved. It's time.
Get a godfather, maybe?
There should no godfather. Get involved.
Okay.
Yes, is emancipation of young people. Let's involve more young people. And I assure you, if we get involved, Nigeria has a better future.
Thank you so much, Honorable Oluwatosin, Oluwatosin Francis Shoga, Director General of the City Boy Movement. Thank you for being part of the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. God bless you.
This is where we draw the curtains on today's edition of Joy Asonye Live. It's been wonderful discussing government intervention, especially as it is directed to young people.